Afternoon. How are you?
Good afternoon. Fine,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Good. Thank you for being with us today, and sharing some of your time this afternoon with the Patagonia Regional Times. My name is Nisa Talavera. I am the assistant editor for the Patagonia Regional Times. And in an effort to really help educate our voters in our county, we are conducting a series of different interviews and forums and questions with the candidates to hope shed some light on the important issues for the voters within our county. And I am happy to be here this afternoon with you, Mr. Ramos. I'm going to go through some questions for you, but if you would like to just take a few minutes and introduce yourself to our listeners and to our viewers and um, give us a little bit of information about you.
Sure, definitely. My name is Pablo Ramos. I'm the county assessor. I've been the elected county assessor since 2021. This is my first term. I have actually worked at the assessor's office for 34 years, counting those fours. I started in 1990 as an appraiser assistant. I moved up the ranks going through school through the certifications. So I was an appraiser 1, appraiser 2, chief appraiser, chief deputy. I also worked in the land department, the personal property, the commercial division. So I've pretty much been through the whole office, most of the positions within the appraisal division.
Wonderful. And so why are you running again for Santa Cruz County Assessor? And tell us why you're the best candidate for the job.
I'm running for the position again since I feel I'm the most qualified person for the job. I mean, I have all the experience necessary to do the assessor's job. In the past, I have done a lot of projects within the assessor's office to streamline the process for transparency and clearness of the assessment process, the fairness and equity of it. I believe that within my experience, I can do the best job as the assessor in the county since I can do any part of the office and as part of the I guess of the procedures within the office, I can pretty much manage all of them. I can do anything from the drafting department to the personal property to the recording side to the clerical side, the appraisal side. I can answer almost any question that a taxpayer or my employees come in and ask me when they need help. So I feel I'm the best candidate for the position. I have all the experience for me to be that candidate. Throughout the years, I have streamlined the process of the appraisals process to be more transparent to the public. I have implemented a lot of the new software that we're using today. It started during my time at the assessor's office, like the new CAMA system that we have, that we had it for 16 years now, but it's still a new system within the state. It's called the Computer Assisted Mass Appraisal System. Recently, we finally got our new aerials done. In February of 2024, we got the county flown over by EagleView, which is a leading company in the United States for aerial imagery. With that imagery, we're going to be able to recapture all the state property within the county, since we can actually see the actual aerial photos of the roof lines in the county now. We can compare them to the actual sketches that we have. So we have implemented a lot of new software and a lot of new programs to better serve our community and to be fair and equitable to make sure that everybody's paying their fair share of taxes.
Next question. What benefits do you believe the assessor's office provides to both municipality and its property owners?
Okay, what we do, we're very, it's a very critical position within the municipalities. We are the ones responsible for assessing the whole property in a taxing authority, let's say the Patagonia Tax District. For the Patagonia School District and the Sonoita School District, the fire department, for them to get their actual levy amounts, their tax rates, it all depends on the value that we set within their taxing jurisdiction. Based on that value, you get the monies for the school district, the fire districts, and the counties. So it's clerical that we get. It's very, very important that we have correct assessments.
Thank you for that. To kind of expand on your answer there, many residents in Sonoita and Elgin feel that they bear an unfair property tax burden compared to the rest of the county. How do you respond to that?
Okay, what happens in Sonoita is that since you still have to maintain that school district, the fire district, there's the tax base is a lot smaller than, let's say, in Nogales. So their value it's smaller than in Nogales, and their tax burden is higher because they still have to maintain that district. So there's a lot less people paying into that district. So that's why their tax rate is higher, making their tax bills higher. The second part of it, I do hear it in my office a lot, is regarding their fire district. In Nogales, the fire district is paid by the sales tax, so they do not have a fire district. In Sonoita, Tubac, and Rio Rico, we do have a fire district. So let's say on $1,000 tax bill in Nogales, they would pay like $400 less than in Sonoita because of their fire district. So it does make a huge difference, that fire district tax rate, that let's say in Nogales, they don't have one, but in Sonoita, they do have one.
Mm-hmm.
Plus the fact that, and the other part in Sonoita is that their tax base, they don't have a big commercial tax base. So that makes the burden on the residential side higher than the commercial part. So that's another thing impacting their higher tax bill. So they do pay more, but there's an explanation for it. It's based on the amount of people that live out there in Sonoita. They still have to pay the amount of tax to cover their fire and their school district and the county's rate, and a lot less people pay into that than, let's say, Rio Rico or Nogales.
Okay. Thank you. So there has been a breakdown in trust in our county government, as you know. This spring, the trust in county government took another hit when former county treasurer Liz Gutfire was who served as county treasurer for over a decade, stepped down from her position in April. And within days of her resignation, the Board of Supervisors announced that the FBI would be investigating some serious financial irregularities that had been flagged. Prior to that, former Santa Cruz County Assessor Fuentes pleaded guilty to felony charge of conspiracy to commit wire fraud for his role in a long-running bribery conspiracy that spanned much of his tenure while he was county assessor. What do you propose to do to regain the public trust, and what safeguards do you have in place now, or do you plan to implement in the future? I know you've been in your position now, but are there any additional safeguards or any safeguards that are there now that maybe you would like to let the public know, let the voters know about?
Yes, definitely. Since I started in 2021, we have created a new set of policy and procedures that have been adopted by the county. We followed the guidelines that were set, or the recommendations set by the Arizona Auditor General's office, along with our county attorney's office. We did write a new set of policy and procedures that have been approved by the Board of Supervisors, trying to safeguard the best interests of the public and the county. We have made those changes to make sure that we don't fall into any wrongdoings by any county employee.
Okay. Could you identify two significant issues that Santa Cruz County is currently facing, and how you plan to address them from your office?
One of them is the trust issue. And we are making our assessment process more thorough, be available for the public. We have basically all of our records are online, so there's a higher transparency. Anything that you want to check, it's probably going to be online. You can see all the records, all the valuations, all the history of values, all the history in taxes. So that's one of the biggest things we're trying to get out there, having everything available for our tax base online, so they can check any record at any given time. We do have an open door policy, so if anybody has a question regarding what we do in my office, we are here to help you. We want to help you and give you everything, all the information, to be transparent, so there's no doubts to what we're doing.
Okay. We touched on this a little bit before regarding Sonoita and Elgin, but how do the specific demographics of a neighborhood affect the value of a property within that area?
Okay, it's not as much as demographics. It's basically, we do market studies. So in valuation in real estate and in the appraisal world, one of the most important factors is the location. So location dictates values. So if it's a higher desirable area and the market it's indicating those values, is going to have a much higher market value. So let's say you have an acre of land in Sonoita compared to an acre of land in old downtown Nogales. The value is going to be very different because of the market analysis on it. So the actual market is set by the actual taxpayers. When they buy those properties, they are creating a market. So whatever market they create, we make market adjustments based on the location of the property. So it's basically based on the location. Location dictates the value. Like we cannot compare. Let's say you have 1,000 square foot home in Sonoita and 1,000 square foot in Nogales or in Tubac or Rio Rico. All four of them are going to have a different value. The base value of the cost is probably going to be around the same. But once we make those market adjustments based on the location and the sales in that area, that's going to make the difference in the value.
Okay, thank you for that. Can you share with the listeners and the viewers what the budget is for the assessor's office? And do you feel that your budget is adequate? And the next part of my question is, do you have any sort of technology wish list in regards to your budget? But it sounds like perhaps the technology upgrades were just made. So is there anything else on your wish list, if you will, for the budget for your office?
Yes, there's always a wish list, and especially with technology. There's a lot of software out there that would really benefit our office, but we just don't have the money to buy it. Through ESRI, GIS, a company like Just Appraise. There's a lot of companies out there that can do a lot for our office, but we don't have the money for that. And I mean, it's just a countywide problem that we have with the budget shortfalls. Our budget is very small. Our budget for the office, the operation of the office is about $80,000 a year. So that includes like office supplies, travel and training, equipment purchase. Most of our budget is for the postage and printing of stuff that we have to print out the notice of values every year. We have to print out the personal property statements, and we have to mail those out. So probably like 70% of our budget is going towards postage and mailing and printing. The rest of the budget is salary, retirement funds, but those we don't really touch. They're set by the Board of Supervisors and by finance. So we get our budget and say, you know what, our budget is $1 million, but 900,000 or 920,000 is all based on salaries and all the state mandates. The actual operating budget that we have is about $80,000 a year. The other part of our budget is like the software, the CAMA software that we pay. That's about $60,000 a year. And that one is paid from a fund from the Board of Supervisors.
Okay, thank you. Working with the public is an important part of the assessor's job. Your ability to communicate with the public effectively is critical for the success of your position, for anyone's position. In your opinion, what are some of the critical factors for communication with the public? And what's the most challenging part for you when it comes to the public?
Yeah, it's basically getting out there and talking to the public. Because in our office on a daily basis, anybody who comes into the office, I'll speak to them personally if they need to. If I'm just walking through the front desk, I'll stop and talk to them and try to help them with their problem and try to solve it for them, or at least try to be helpful on the problem. So one of the things that we are trying to do is try to be having more like town hall meetings and getting out to the rural areas in the community, because we do get out there, but we get out there when there's a permit or when we do a recanvassing. But just to go out there and just visit, we really don't have the time to do it. We try to do it through our webpage, and we try to do it through our mailings. Every year when we send our notice of value, we do send a pamphlet with information regarding our office, the programs that we have. We're trying to create a better community outreach to let them know about the programs we have. Like besides valuing property in the assessor's office, we have many functions. And the valuation part is just a small part of what we do. We administer all the exemptions that are set by state statute, like for widowers, veterans exemptions. We have the Senior Freeze program, which is designed for people over 65 years of age.
Mhm.
As an income limitation based if it's one person or two persons on title. They have to be living in their primary residence for 2 years. And it's a very simple program, but it helps the taxpayer because their value stays frozen for 3 years. So their taxes won't go up as much for 3 years. At the end of those 3 years, we'll send them a renewal letter 6 months prior to the end of their program so they can reapply for that program.
You mentioned before that the challenge is really getting the information about your office and the programs that you offer out to the public. Santa Cruz County is spread out, and different parts of the county operate in different ways. Do you find it more challenging to get information out to community members in different parts of the county? And if so, how does your office intend to improve that over the next few years?
Well, the thing is probably having one-on-one town hall meetings, because we do have other information out there, like in our website. If you navigate through our website, I mean, it's very, very robust. I mean, it has a lot of information in the website that if you navigate through it, you're going to find basically everything that you need to know. But the thing is, a lot of our tax base or a lot of our community doesn't have the access to maybe fast internet or that's one of the problems that we have in the county. I know in the rural areas like Sonora, Patagonia, it's a struggle to get a good internet connection. And so a lot of people just don't like navigating through the website and trying to find everything. So that's one of the things that we do need to get out there and be out there with the people in their communities at the town hall meetings, or if they have an association of owners meetings. We try to get out there once in a while. And like I tell them, you know what, if you need for us to go out there, please let us know and we'll be out there.
Can you describe a situation in which you had to work with a challenging property owner? And if so, how and what did you implement to diffuse the situation?
Oh, we have those basically once every other couple of days. People, as you know, paying property taxes is not a fun part. So they come upset with us because of their tax bill. But like once we explain to them and we go through the valuation process and explain to them how we derive at their value, they're not upset with the value. They're upset with the tax bill because they do feel that the valuation is fair and just, and they feel we're doing a good job in the valuation side. As a matter of fact, probably 95% of the people that come in are happy with their value. The most of them even think we're undervalued. But the thing is, once they get their tax bill, that's when we have the problem. Because they have big tax bills, but they feel their value is kind of right. They don't feel we're overvaluing property, but they feel we're overtaxing. And like I tell them, you know what? We don't do taxes. We just do the valuation part. Even though it's in an indirect part of your tax bill, and we take responsibility for it, even if it's not our part that we do, we try to explain the tax bill to other taxpayers because we don't like having people running around from office to office. If we can help them here, we try to help them here in our office, even explaining the tax bill or the taxing authorities. We try to do that to better serve them.
So last question. If you are reelected, what do you plan to do with your first 30 days or continue to do with your first 30 days in your position?
Well, I'm going to continue to do what I do every day, work for you guys the best as we can, be transparent with our office, with our values, to have to make sure that we ensure a fair and equitable assessment to all the property owners in Santa Cruz County, to make sure that they're paying their fair and equitable part of taxes, that we are not overtaxing or overvaluing any taxpayer in the county. It's a very difficult job. Sometimes we are going to have mistakes and we are going to fix them once we're notified. I mean, it's a job that you cannot come in and do out of the street, because it's a very, very complicated job. Like I tell them, you know what? I'm more of statesman than a political figure. Because I use politics to help my community, but my job is a very highly skilled position that you have to know what you're doing. Yes, it's a critical position that our schools depend on it, our flood control depends on it, our fire departments work depend on it, the community, the sheriff departments, the county, we all depend on our values to get that tax base. So it's a very, very critical position that you have to have experience of doing appraisal work. It's not a job that you can just come in and start doing it the next day. I mean, it could take you 4 years to maybe learn it a little bit. And at that point, you're still not going to know all of it. I've been doing it for 34 years and there's days that I have to go back through the statutes, go talk to the Department of Revenue and try to find answers. So it's a very critical position. And for the first 30 days, I'm just going to keep doing what I've been doing for the past 34 years.
Well, that sounds like a busy job, and certainly one that's necessary for our county. Thank you so much.
And it's such a job that it's only one of the few jobs that's mandated by the Constitution. So the recorder, the treasurers, the assessors, and the sheriffs. The rest of them are mandated by the county or they're part of the county departments. That's why they're not elected. But ours is, so it's based on Constitution, it's based on a lot of laws that we have to follow. We have to follow all the guidelines from the Department of Revenue. All of our appraisers have to be certified by the Department of Revenue. If you're not certified, you cannot work in our office. After you're certified, you have to get continuing education hours every 2 years. So it's a very clear, critical position that you have to look into it and make the best choice available. And like I told you before, I'm 100% confident that I'm the best option for the job. So I hope I get your vote and keep serving you for the next 4 years.